Good evening, everyone. It is 8:01 Central Time, so we are going to go ahead and begin tonight's webinar. Thank you to everyone who is joining us tonight for the JCI USA monthly webinar. Tonight we're going to talk about membership retention. Last month we did talk about membership recruitment, and so we're going to, it only seems fitting to take some time to talk about membership retention as well, because I feel that we focus a lot of our efforts and a lot of our discussion around membership recruitment, and that sometimes we neglect retention. But if you're really thinking about it, if you're doing a great job retaining your members, it doesn't have as much of an urgency to recruit new members. So if we kind of lay off the gas of recruitment a little bit and focus on our retention a little more, it can help us in creating a bigger pipeline and allowing more people to help us to recruit other members as well. If you don't know who I am, my name is Noelle Nachreiner, and I am the 2017 National Membership Director. My home chapter is in Indianapolis and in the state of Indiana. And so it is my honor to conduct this webinar tonight. I always host these webinars on the fourth Thursday of the month, so make sure you check back and check the website for those future webinars because we have them every month. So our objectives tonight are to talk about chapter enhancement, to talk about activation and retention, and to also talk about some resources that the national organization provides that can help you in membership retention. So I wanted to do tonight's webinar a little bit differently. Usually I break up these topics and I talk about them individually, but I decided that the best way to do this tonight was to provide 30 quick tips for member retention. They're not going to be that quick because we'll talk about each tip a little bit, but they kind of are all inclusive of chapter enhancement and member activation and member retention. So these are 30 tips. You may know some of them may be new to you. They may be things that you didn't even realize were actually retention tips that are. So we're going to get started with the 30 tips for member retention. I did do some crowdsourcing with the 2017 Executive Committee to help get ideas for all of these different tips that we're going to review. So tip number one, be active. Have an active chapter. Having a chapter that is active and has a diversified programming is going to be attractive to not only prospective members, but your current members as well. So if you have a membership base and you are not offering things at the chapter level and you're not being an active chapter, then your members aren't going to have a reason to renew or to stick around. They will go somewhere else and find another organization or another YP group that can fulfill what it is that they are looking for. Tip number two, start on day one. So make sure that as soon as you recruit that new member and they are signed up and paid and in our database, that you start retaining them on day one. That doesn't mean that you start asking on day one, are you going to renew? Are you going to renew? Are you going to renew? It just means that you follow some of these other tips and guidelines that I'm going to share to ensure that they're having a good experience and want to remain a member. Shoutouts. It's a great idea to always give your members shoutouts. Obviously, the easiest and most cost-effective way to do this is on social media. You can give them a shout out on their birthday, maybe on their anniversary of when they joined the organization, maybe when they get a promotion at work, or if they get engaged. Anytime they have a big life event, go ahead and give them a shout out on social media and let everyone know that they're a member of your organization and how wonderful they are and how much you appreciate them being a member. A lot of chapters and states now do a member spotlight, which is a great way to recognize your members and help in retaining them. So you can do this again on social media, you can do this on your website, you can do it in a chapter newsletter. And it really is just a great way to share some information about your members, about the great people they are and the great work that they do. And it doesn't have to be all business. You can have a little bit of fun with it. So, you can share what their favorite movie is, or their best childhood memory, or their most embarrassing story as a JC, things like that. So have a little fun with it so that your members get to know each other, because that's going to help them build connections within the chapter. And if you're connecting with other people and you're finding other like-minded people that you want to spend time with, you're more likely to stick around and renew your membership. Having a chapter newsletter is another great way to retain members, because you're getting information out to them in a clear, concise, and consistent manner. Another great way that I've seen this done is if you personalize the newsletter, and that's a really easy thing to do if you use an email client such as MailChimp or Constant Contact. You can actually use contact tags so that when you send your newsletter out, it can say, "Dear Kristen," or "Hey Tessa," and you can kind of personalize those newsletters so that it has that little bit more personal touch. And a good thing to remember with your chapter newsletters is to make sure you're having the upcoming events that you have going on listed in there. That's another place you can list members' birthdays or their anniversary dates of when they became members of the organization. You can also just list community events, so other things that are happening in the community that you live. If you're trying to work to create positive change in your community, you should be actively engaged and promoting the great things that are happening in your community. Pick up the telephone and call your members. This is a great retention tip that may seem very easy, but it is something that more and more we are not doing. We're not calling our members because we're becoming such a digital world. And it doesn't have to be that you're calling them to ask them to renew. You can be calling them to remind them of an event upcoming. You can call them to thank them for being members. You can call them to, encourage them to come to an event or participate in a project, etc. You can just call them and ask them for feedback. Say, "Hey, how are you enjoying your experience as a part of this organization?" But pick up that phone, call them, engage with them. I see that I have a question. What was the other way? MailChimp and what? MailChimp or Constant Contact, Kayla. Those are two different email platforms that you can send out mass email newsletters, design them, make them look nice. Thank you for that question. So don't ask them to renew. And I know that this sounds silly because we're talking about retaining them. And what I mean when I say don't ask them to renew is have a relationship with them outside of just membership. Make sure that they don't think that you only see them as a member number or as that number. We talk about the numbers all the time, right? But they're people, and that is really important. So get to know them. Have conversations with them about anything else but membership. So make sure that they know that you value them as a person, you value them as a member, and you're not just looking for their check or for their name in our database, that you really care about them being a part of this organization. Let's see, I have a question. How do I get members to be more active if they are considered my chapter seasonal members, meaning they only do one event a year? Melissa, we hopefully are going to have some more tips that talk about that, and hopefully that will answer your question as we go along. If it does not, I can try again to address it at the end. So let me know at the end if we didn't address that. Thank you. So make an impact. This goes back to enhancing your chapter. Our mission is to provide development opportunities that empower young people to create positive change. So creating positive change is really, really important part of that mission. So making sure that your chapter is doing things that do create a positive impact and a positive change in your community. So if you're doing projects that you've done for 75 years, and maybe the community isn't responsive anymore, maybe people aren't coming out like they used to, maybe you're not making the impact that you once were, and you need to look at those projects and see that what you're doing to make an impact. Because again, that's going to say to your members, hey, we're an important part of this community, we care about this community, and if you care about this community, you should join us, you should help us, you should help create that impact to make this place a better place to live. Offer member-only benefits, so things that members can only get if they are a dues-paying member. This can be as simple as a camping trip. My chapter one time did a camping trip where all the chapter did was pay for 2 campsites, so it wasn't a huge out-of-pocket expense for one night. We went to a campground about an hour away. People brought their own tents, they brought their own food, they brought their own refreshments, and we had a wonderful time camping for a day and a half. And it was a member-only benefit. You could only come on this camping trip if you were a member. And I believe we probably had somebody sign up and become a member so that they could go camping, because people like to do things that are exclusive. Part of us being a dues-paying organization automatically makes us exclusive. It's something that not every single person has the opportunity to do or can benefit from. So you have to make sure that for your dues-paying members, you are providing benefits that not everyone can get. Ask them to renew. And again, I know that this is against what I just said about not asking them, but when a time comes, do make sure that you ask them to renew, because we do exit surveys. The national organization sends an exit survey to every member who does not renew at the end of the quarter. And one of the biggest reasons that people respond that they didn't know is that no one asked them to renew. No one ever asked them to renew their membership. Or even worse, maybe they didn't even know that their membership was due, so they didn't even know that they had dropped because no one asked them. No one said, hey, it's March, your membership is due, can we get you renewed so that you can continue to be a part of this organization? Make it easy for them to renew. If it's really difficult for them to renew, or they have to jump through a lot of hoops, they're not going to do it. So if you have a chapter PayPal account, text them the link to pay with their credit card through PayPal. If you have a Square, make sure that you have your Square reader and your app on your phone, so the next time you see them at your M night or at your event, you can just say, hey, let's take care of this and get you renewed right now. You can swipe their card and be done with it. Make it easy for them to renew. Another tip is to tap into their talents. So if you have members who have passions, use their careers, tap into their talents, because that's going to make them feel valued. So let's say that you have an attorney in your chapter. Go to that person and say, hey, would you mind taking a look at our bylaws just to make sure that we're in line, that we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing, if there's nothing that we need to refresh. If you have a graphic designer in your chapter, just saying, hey, would you, be interested in designing some flyers for us, or, designing our signage for this event. The great thing about that is that while it's making them feel valued. You need their help. You need their expertise, and people really like to be needed and they like to be valued. And more than that, it's helping them get better at something they already enjoy doing. So, more than likely, if you have one of those people, if you have a marketing person or somebody in that profession who can help you by doing press releases, by doing things like that, it's only going to help enhance their skills, so they're probably going to be willing to help you out with it. So make sure you tap into their talents to help them feel valued as members. Invite them to events, invite them to M nights, invite them to social gatherings. And again, this is picking up the telephone, calling them, not just sending out a mass Facebook event invite or, sending out a mass email, actually personally inviting them and saying, we would really like to see you at XYZ event. Another great way to retain your members is to involve them. Involve them in the work of your chapter. So making sure that you're asking them to serve on committees, you're asking them to maybe chair a project or be a part of a project committee. Matthew has a great question. What are M-Nights? These are traditionally, and actually I'm going to get a little bit on my soapbox about M-Nights. M-Nights are what a lot of chapters call their membership nights or their social nights. So a lot of chapters, usually once a month, will have a chapter social or a night where they have, prospective members come and meet, and it's usually social. Sometimes it's at a bar, etc. And so those are called M-Nights or membership nights. However, I am a advocate of changing the name of M-Nights, because if I were a prospective member and you said, hey, I'd like you to come to this M-Night, and I'd say, oh, what's an M-Night? And you'd say, it's a membership night. In my head, I would think, well, I'm not a member, so I probably am not allowed to be at that event. So I would be proponent for calling them meetups or meet and greets or informational nights, something that will definitely tell a prospective member, you're invited, we want you here, we want you to learn more about this awesome organization. Thank you for that question, Matthew. So remember to involve them in the work of the organization, make them feel valued, etc. Survey them. And this is a monkey. See what I did there? Survey, monkey, get it? Okay. Anyway, so survey your members. Make sure that at least annually you are sending out a membership survey to ask them about the programming that they would like to see, about the projects that you're doing, about why they joined this organization, or what benefits they would like to have as a result of being a member of this organization. So like I said, do that at least annually, if not maybe twice a year or even quarterly. Just say, maybe it's in the spring, you say, we're doing our spring survey. What kind of things would you like to see us do this summer? Or, what did you get the most value in as a member in this last quarter, etc. So always survey them, ask them questions. Those can be formal surveys that they fill out through SurveyMonkey or paper surveys. They can be informal surveys where you just pick up the phone, again, the telephone, give them a call and say, hey, can we just chat for a few minutes? I'd love your feedback on a few things. And then just kind of ask them your list of questions and get their feedback. Live the mission. Like I said earlier, our mission is to provide development opportunities that empower young people to create positive change. So you, as a chapter member or as a leader in your chapter, should be living that mission, and you should be showing that you live that mission to your members. You can also be showing that you live our creed and that you're passionate about our creed, right? So that service to humanity is the best work of life. If you are truly believing that you love the service you're doing in your community, show that. And through your actions, members will be able to see that this is something really cool and it's something really special that they're a part of. And the JCs are a special organization. I think that we forget that sometimes. The relationships that we're able to build and the impact that we make in our communities and the way that we go about it is very special and it's very unique. So if you're showing that you are passionate about this organization, that's going to catch on, and they're going to be passionate and they're going to want to be a part of it and renew as well. Save the drama. So sometimes in this organization, there can be a little bit of drama. I know that's really, really surprising to all of you, but really try to save the drama. Try to remember that at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. We're all on the same team. I understand that things happen and sometimes relationships go south and it's hard to work with those people or to see those people at meetings or events. But just remember that, you know, this is an organization. This is something that you're doing to make a difference in your community. And so just remembering to, you know, really check your ego at the door and try to be there to live the mission and to accomplish that mission. Practice quality over quantity. This, I think, is very important when it comes to our chapter programming. If we are running project after project, week after week, and you know we have the same 15 members who are coming to every single project, eventually they're going to get burnt out and they're going to get really, really tired and overworked and feel not very appreciated. So we want to make sure that we are having quality programming and quality projects for our members and not a quantity. If you have a chapter of 25 or 30 members, is it really necessary that you're doing 75 to 80 events a year? Or could you scale that back and make sure that you are accomplishing half of those events or a quarter of those events that are really making a difference in your community and really striving to make a sustainable change where you're living? Be open to new ideas. I think especially when we have new young members join this organization, they are full of ideas and they are excited about changing the world, right? That's what I think we're told in college and right after college is you can do anything you want to do. You can change the world. And I believe that as JCs, we can change the world and our members can change the world. But we have to be open to those new ideas when those members come to us. We have to be willing to say yes. And you know what? Maybe it is a crazy left field idea that when they present it to you, you think there is no way we're ever going to be able to get this done. So make that a teachable moment, make that a coachable moment, and talk to them about, okay, well, maybe we can scale this back, or how could we do this differently, or how could we make this applicable? You know, give them a project management guide and say, complete this PMG, think through some of these problems that you might face with this, and bring it back to me and we'll talk about how we can make this happen. So be open to those new ideas. Crazy as they may seem, they may just pull it off. Don't wait until the last minute. So we all know that in 1 quarter before their membership is due, we have 3 months, right? We have 3 months to renew their membership. We have 90 days to renew their membership. We have 2,160 minutes to renew their membership. Do not wait until 11:59 on the last day of the quarter to renew the membership. Make sure you're not waiting until the last minute. You're asking them early. You're asking them often. You're giving them plenty of time to renew. Get to know them and really get to know them. This goes along with, you know, being able to do those membership spotlights, you know, calling them on the phone. Just really get to know them. Get to know what they're passionate about so you can tap into their talents. Get to know, you know, what their favorite project is, why they became a member. Just really get to know them as people, because the more that you connect with them, the more likely they're going to feel valued and want to remain a member and continue their membership. Don't bait and switch them. So if they came to you as a prospective member and you told them all the amazing professional development opportunities that they were going to have in this organization, don't then sign them up and just say, okay, well, now we're going to do this fundraiser and this fundraiser and this fundraiser, and never give them those professional development opportunities, or never even tell them what they're fundraising for. Don't bait and switch them. Make sure you're delivering on your promises that you're recruiting them with. Mentor them. So act as a mentor. You know, when they come to you with questions, like I said, they may come to you with that left field idea, and just really use it as an opportunity to mentor them. Develop a relationship where you go to coffee, you know, meet for a drink, do what you can do to really talk with them one-on-one, and learn how you can help them develop and help them grow. A lot of people come to this organization looking for a way to grow their skills to help them advance in their career, to help them get a raise, things like that. So really provide that mentor aspect of this organization. And if you don't feel like you're a person who is good to be a mentor or ready to be a mentor, introduce them to someone in your chapter or someone maybe in the state organization that you know that you think would be a really good mentor from them, and say, hey, I'd really love for you to get to know this person, to talk to them, to offer some advice. Help them connect with other people. Empower and encourage them. I can't tell you how many people in this organization I have seen just blossom because they've been empowered and they've been encouraged. A lot of people, you know, may not have the confidence to run for a leadership position. They may not have the you know, the confidence or the skill to speak in front of other people. Just really encourage them. Remind them that we are a learning organization, and it's okay to make mistakes in this organization. It's okay to fall down, but you have to get back up. You have to try again. You know, just really encourage them and kind of let them treat this organization as a bounce house where they can do things and they can try new things and they're not really going to get hurt. I stole that from a person in Michigan who calls the JCs a bounce house, and I really think that that is a great lesson and a great way to look at our organization, is that, you know, you can try a lot of things and maybe some will work and maybe some won't work, but always be encouraging, always empower our members, because that's why we're here. We're here to empower and to help them take that next step in their lives. Mind your manners. And what I mean by this is have a good reputation in your community. Make sure that the community knows that the JCs are the go-to organization that get things done, are the young professionals who are really looking to make a difference or really expand their leadership skills. Make sure that your community has a good perception of your chapter, and that make sure they know you exist, right? Make sure that they know that there's a JC chapter in their community, they're doing great things. And then make sure that they have a positive representation of who your members are, what your members are doing, etc. Know your members' why. We've talked about this in a couple of different ways, and I always go back to Simon Sinek. He is an author and speaker, and he has a entire book called Start with Why, and it's talking about, you know, knowing why why corporations do things, and if your corporation knows their why, selling their product comes very, very easy. So if you know your members' why, selling them on continuing to be a part of this organization will come very, very easy, because you can say, well, why are you a JC? And they can say, because I really just get warm and fuzzies when I can see someone in my community have a better life than they had the day before. Or I'm a JC because I really love, you know, being able to run a project and see my hard work come into fruition and see the end of that project. So making sure you know their why and you know why they're involved, and then really catering to that to ensure that your programming and your projects are fulfilling that why for your members. Plan ahead and share the plan. So ideally, when you are planning your year, you should know most of your membership meetings, most of your social outings, most of your projects, especially if they're projects that you run you know, annually. You should know a lot of those dates already at the beginning of the year. Think about publishing your annual calendar and then sharing it, and remembering that even if you share an event that's happening in August, in January, you're probably going to want to share it again in April, and maybe share it again in May and July, just so that it really stays top of mind. But, the worst thing that you can do is say, send out an email at 4 o'clock on a Friday saying, we need 30 volunteers tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. to make this project go. You have to come. Please help us. We're desperate. So, that's usually not sending a great message to your members that A, you value their time, or B, that you really have your act together and you know what you're doing. So make sure that you are planning ahead and that you are sharing and, just really working to encourage people to be a part of your organization and of those events. Respect your members' time. Like I just said, sending out that 4 p.m. email and asking for volunteers at 9 a.m., that is not respecting their time at all. Telling them that your chapter meeting is going to start at 7 p.m. and then calling the meeting to order at 7:36, that's not respecting their time. You need to make sure that you are, you're asking them to take time out of their day, maybe take time away from their family to be with you. So you need to make sure that you are mindful of the time that you are spending with them and that you're making good use of it. So starting meetings on time, staying on topic and on agenda is really, really important. Not getting down a rabbit hole and having a 45-minute conversation about the colors of the napkins at the event that you're having come up. Making sure that you are staying on task, you're respecting their time. Recognize your members. Maybe do a JC of the month or a new JC of the quarter. Just recognize your members, even if you're printing paper certificates or you're, tagging them in a post on Facebook, just making sure that you're giving them some sort of recognition. You can even come up with fun little awards titles that, you can give them, maybe something like, I don't know, something project related, just, recognizing them for fun things. In my local chapter, when I was on our board of directors, we had a fun little basket of goodies. And, so it was things like suckers or, kazoos, just kind of random little goodies. And they all lived in a little sand pail that you would take to the beach. And so every month when we had our board of directors meeting, whoever had the pail would pass it off to someone else who they thought had just done a great job that month and had really killed it. And so the rule was, if you got the pail and you got to take the pail home for the month, you could take one, sorry, hold on. Sorry about that. You could take one item out of the pail to keep for yourself, but you had to buy something new to put in the pail or put something new in the pail so that the prizes and that the incentives were always changing. And that just really was a fun way to recognize our board of directors, to say that people on our team were doing a good job. And you can do those kind of things with your entire chapter too. Thank your members. This is my last tip for this section of the webinar. Please make sure that you thank your members. This is so important that you thank them, you help them feel appreciated. Thank them for joining, thank them for renewing their membership, thank them for being a member, thank them for participating in projects. Just thank them. You can't thank them enough. And find different ways to thank them. Obviously, saying thank you and just saying, thank you for being a part of this organization, or thank you, thank you, Cameron, for being on this webinar tonight. I really appreciate it. Saying thank you, but also doing small things, mailing them a thank you note, buying them a drink at an event just to show your appreciation. Just make sure that you are thanking them for their service and for their hard work and for the great things that they do in your chapter. So those are our 30 tips for helping retain your members. Hopefully you got some good ideas in that. If you had other questions that you don't think I covered, please feel free to ask them and I will answer as I come to them. But now I'm going to share some JCI USA resources that you can use to help retain your members. So the first resource are just kind of a laundry list of tools that you have and benefits that we offer as an organization to our members. So access to professional guides and tools. So if you have a member who, is the local vice president, we have an action guide on what the local vice president should do. Using our chapter planning guides, things like that. A lot of people don't know that Domino's Pizza actually started as the result of our project management guide, of our PMGs, or CPGs as we used to call them. That those are benefits, giving those tools. We have a JCI professional training series that you can help them gain professional and personal development. So our effective communications courses, our JCI Achieve, JCI Admin, things like that. Being active citizens, being civically engaged, helping them to get to know their local officials and people of that sort. Creating genuine connections within your community and around the world, really. I mean, we talked about getting to know your members. They have the opportunity, if they get involved, to meet people from all over the United States, from really all over the world if they attend a World Congress. And then skill development. Leadership skills, advocacy, mentorship, things we talked about, budgeting skills, marketing and promotions, partnership development, team development, project management. And then on top of that, we also offer some corporate discounts to our members. Car rentals, office supplies, etc. We also offer the Passport to Civic Leadership program. This is an activation tool, and it really is, it's a degree program where members accomplish certain tasks. So for example, to get their first degree, they have to attend a chapter meeting, they have to, learn the creed, just different things that they can do to attain their first degree. And they do that, the first degree all the way up to the 10th degree. And in the 10th degree, it includes things like judging a competition, attending a national convention so they can receive their PIN and certificate for completing their passport. So it really is a great activation tool and a helpful way for them to learn more about the organization as they grow and as they continue. Degrees can be completed concurrently, but you only are awarded once you have completed everything in your 10th degree. And people say that the whole process is usually a 3 to 4 year process to be able to complete all the steps to get your 10th degree. We also have an incentive going on for 2017 that can help you as you retain members, for people who want to get involved in impact projects. So if your chapter ends the year at +3, you will earn $100 that you can use towards an impact project. If you end the year at +8, you will get another $250, so a total of $350. And that is, again, for an impact project. So what will happen is chapters that end at +3 to +8 or above will be notified that they are eligible for this incentive. They will then have to complete a PMG for that impact project. We encourage them to use the funds towards a project that involves the Active Citizen Framework. And then they will receive those funds once they have submitted that PMG to be able to use towards those projects. And chapters who earn the $350 can use that to fund 1 or 2 projects. But if you do 2 projects, you do have to submit 2 PMGs. So the key takeaways from today, and actually before I do that, I saw I did have a question. Can you send me a list of the 30 tips via email? I didn't get them all. I will, Kayla. Yes, most definitely. If anyone else would like me to send them these 30 tips or send you this, I'll just send the slideshow. Just go ahead and write yes in the chat section, and I will make sure that I include you when I send them. So my key takeaways for today to remember is to begin activating and retaining your members on the very first day that they join the organization. Make sure that you get to know your members and that you tap into their talents. Make sure you're providing quality programming and that you're surveying your members on a regular basis so that you know what it is that they want you to do and how they want to be engaged. ask your people to renew. Please, please, please ask them to renew. And above all, make all members, new and existing, feel like they are the most important part of this organization, because they absolutely are. We all are. You all are. Everyone who pays dues to this organization is the most important part of this organization. We would not have a JC organization without all of you and without all of the great work that you're doing in your communities. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for being members. I thank you for your continued involvement. I thank you for renewing whenever that is, whether it's in 9 days or in 6 months. I thank you for renewing your membership. So I do see a few hands up. So a few people saying that they would like the PowerPoint sent to them. I can absolutely do that. And James, I will also send them to the membership director in Minnesota. Kristen, I can actually absolutely do that. Are there any other questions about anything we covered tonight, or maybe something you thought might be covered that wasn't? Okay, I'm not seeing anything come in, so I'm going to assume that everyone got what they needed. I also see a few hands raised. I'm going to assume that means that you would also like the PowerPoint sent to you. So I will make sure that I do that. And great. So I appreciate everyone for being on the webinar tonight. We had a really great turnout, so I always love to see that. Oh, I do have a question from Matthew. I have a large basis of LGBTQ members wanting to join. How can we appease them directly? That is a great question. For me personally, I wouldn't see, I wouldn't think that we would treat any member differently from any other member. We're one organization. We are working hard to create positive change in our communities. The great thing about this organization is that is directly related to what our individual communities look like. So if you're in a community that is more focused, or even if you're in a subsection of a community, a neighborhood or something like that, you can be definitely working with those members in that particular community to ensure that you are meeting their needs and to doing what it is you're doing. Also making sure that you are partnering with other organizations. So, it's all about partnerships and having a lot of partnerships. So their issues comes from the church ideas. Well, that is obviously a very big issue that we face, not even just in this organization, but as a nation. The way I would handle that personally is I would just remind everyone of our creed and the lines of our creed, that the brotherhood of man transcends the sovereignty of nations. I know that's a little bit different meaning, but it can be interpreted. And that, faith in God, whatever that God is to you, or faith in that higher power, is what is important. So that's a tough one, and it's kind of it's a tough one for me to answer, and I appreciate you asking those questions, because those are tough questions that we need to consider and think about in this organization, obviously, because we want to be inclusive. So I appreciate those questions, and that's something that I will definitely give some thought to. So thank you all again for being on the webinar tonight. I will make sure that I send all of those slides out to those of you who requested it. And thank you again, and I hope you all have a very wonderful evening.